Who's got the power? What kind of power?
When we fight,
We win.
when we fight,
We win.
Some commie chants echoing through New York's ever-expanding commie corridor. The three Democratic Socialists who swept the Big Apple holding a rally earlier as the Democratic Party rolls out a big red welcome mat.
Whatever labels you want to attach to it, whatever she said, I believe that we've got to understand that Big Tent means Big Tent.
I'm not afraid of new members or new ideas in the party. I welcome it.
That friction, although it might make for good, press, it's part of being in a coalition.
The reality is we have an unsettled electoral environment, which is going to be the case when Donald Trump is president.
Okay, that was Hakeem preemptively blaming President Trump if the socialist surge takes Colorado next. Radical candidate Melat Kiros looks to ride the commie wave into Congress by unseating a longtime Democratic incumbent, which may be difficult given she thinks Israel deserved October 7th and America deserved 9/11.
You've said that the October 7th massacre of Israeli civilians by Hamas fighters was the, quote, inevitable consequence of apartheid. Can you...
Certain conditions lead people to feeling like violence is their only answer.
Was 9/11 an inevitable consequence for America based on U.S. foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response.
How you doing over there, Harold? Good?
My nose is running.
Okay, I'm going to go to you next. Dana, so this woman doesn't really have a job.
Nope. Well, I mean, that's another. Look. Start looking at the jobs or the schooling that a lot of the DSA candidates have had. Again, they sound exactly alike. They use the same cadence. They have the same language. They have studied. They work together. They are super organized that way. What Hakeem is doing, and the rest of the Democrats that are doing is they're not making the tent bigger. They're making it more narrow. And the way that that's happening is that the Democrat socialists are using the Democratic Party in order to figure out a way. Okay, so let's figure out a way we can take these voters and we can muscle in. And then, like, for example, Graham Plattner today, this guy, he is trashing Chuck Schumer up one side and down the other. And then today he says, but I need help because I don't have enough money and you have to help me. And so then Hakeem and Chuck Schumer are going to be in this position. Do they support them? Are they going to cave and probably do that? And when look at the incumbents that they're throwing out of office. Goldman from last week and Espelot, and the guy we talked about yesterday, well, he's not thrown out, but getting attacked in California. It's not like they are moderate Democrats. They are hardcore progressives. But what's the one issue that they're not solid on that these socialists care about the most? And it's Israel and Jewish people. And they are anti-Semitic. And that is the strain that is driving it. And if Hakeem and Chuck don't believe that accepting these people into the big tent doesn't mean exactly what they're trying to do, they're going to have a rough road of it, regardless if Trump's here or not.
20, even 10 years ago, Greg, if you had a member of Congress who's running on America kind of deserved 9/11, I mean, she wouldn't get anywhere near Congress.
She seemed like she was doing you a favor by answering it. 9/11. I seem to remember that. But I mean, the big tent accepting these people, it's like a tree saying termites welcome. In order to have a tent, you got to have boundaries. The tent itself is a boundary. If everyone is welcome, including the people who wish to destroy you, then what is the point of a tent? It is organizations and groups, families, they're not just defined by who you are, but who you aren't. We do have certain rules to keep people in and out of things, and sometimes that goes crazy, but we do have, somewhere along the line, boundaries were made a sign of bigotry. But there's a reason for intolerance. You do not tolerate bare feet in a restaurant. You do not tolerate grown men in the Girl Scouts. You do not tolerate the obese in the military. I can't be a Harlem Globetrotter, and I can dunk. So does the party have a right to welcome anyone when it affects everyone else in that group? realistic example. You invite a male rapist into a women's shelter. It satisfies your virtue signal. It's a big tent. But then a woman gets raped and murdered, which is what happened in New York. So again, boundaries exist so the thing survives. And if you say we're going to let these people in who are openly saying they want to destroy America, you're an accessory to the crime. And it isn't a big tent. Like, you're right. There's no pro-lifers. There's no pro-Second Amendment people. It's like a tent with an open flap. And the flap is facing the direction of basically anti-patriotic, anti-Americanism. It's interesting that they call themselves Democrat Socialists, because you could never envision Republican Socialists. Like, if somebody said, I'm a Republican Socialist, you go, no, that's nuts. Mm-hmm. Why can you envision a Democrat Socialist? What does that tell you? Something about the Democrats. Harold.
Harold, your name was invoked.
So I am as repulsed and disgusted by this young lady's comments, not as much because I think she wants to be a member of my party or claims to be a member of my party, as it is I think she doesn't understand that if she honestly believes what she just said there about we deserved it, she is saying that a group of people who wouldn't allow her to speak the way she's speaking on television, they would kill her. A group of people who wouldn't allow her to dress the way she wants to dress, think the way she wants to think, gain the jobs that try to gain a job like she wants to gain, and then criticize the state as she has. I think these people, Greg, who want to be a part of our tent, I call it the American tent first, and the Republican and Democrat tents are in that big tent. And we may differ on things, but we don't differ on what's fundamental about our country. Kaylee and I had a conversation, a debate about what the 14th Amendment. We didn't have a conversation about what America meant and whether or not we deserve to have people come to our country and destroy it. For anyone to call themselves a Democrat who believes that America deserved 9/11, and she's able to say that in a country that she's defending a group of people who wouldn't allow her to say what she's saying, who wouldn't allow her to be the person that she wants to be and achieve and accomplish the things that she's accomplished. I said it the other day and I'll say it again. They offer no answers. There's nothing constructive. We're the most dynamic, the most innovative, the most creative group of people, economic system and economy in the world. At every point in each of the last several centuries, America has faced a challenge to whom we are, where people felt excluded. The answer can't be to burn it down. That's what these people are saying. The answer was, how do we work from within with all the tools and assets and resources we have to make the country better? That's what we ought to be doing. And for those whom are not, and those who want to come into the Democratic Party, there has to be a little bit of an admission fee. And that fee has to be, you understand that the country is great, and our job is to try to make it greater, not burn it down.
Well said, Harold.
Yay.
Kaylee.
Harold is absolutely correct. But the problem is that there are not enough Democrats that are saying what Harold is saying. I mean, when you look to book Democrats calling this out on your show, as I did last Saturday, you got James Carville, you got Senator John Fetterman. You've got 13 House Democrats that signed a letter supporting Pride in America. You have one other Democrat in Slotkin who kind of tepidly called out this wave of folks in the party and called for new leadership in the Senate. But you can really count on just more than two hands, a dozen or so Democrats calling this out fervently. And one thing James Carville said to me is he said, Hakeem's going to have to deal with this, meaning Hakeem Jeffries. It's not going away. Hakeem, you need to deal with this. That happened Saturday. And Hakeem's way of dealing with this, one of the most powerful Democrats elected to office now, is to congratulate these radicals. He congratulates people like Chevalier, who says communism now sees the means of production. Really? I mean, not only that, you have this Aber Kawas woman who won for the nomination for a state Senate seat in New York, who also has comments not clearly calling out 9/11 and making excuses for it. This is a pervasive radical ideology that could very well win in Colorado yet again tonight, and it's becoming very difficult to say this is a New York problem or an LA problem. It is a problem within the Democratic Party, and I really hope we see bold leaders calling this out the way Fetterman has and a handful of other Democrats. It's the only way you get rid of this.
You can't argue with ignorant and stupid people. That's what I learned in our Bible study. Do you remember that?
I do.
What was the line about you don't you don't waste your breath on
you
really
just
stupid people. I think Jesus said that.
You just shake it off and keep moving.
Yeah,
That was not Jesus.
But they,
That was
they-
Taylor
you-
Swift.
those people, they're ignorant of history. They're stupid, but they're ignorant of what America
But
is.
also, the other thing is, like, for her, so Diana DeGette, who she wants to beat, Diana DeGette went to Congress in 1997.
I was elected
Okay.
with her. We were
Okay, so this young woman, I believe, was born like right around that time. So she was a small child when 9/11 happened. Also, I believe that says that she was canceled during a college class because of something she said against Israel. So she has a grudge to fight against, and she got a following because of all of that, but also because they are very organized. They are super organized. Beware.
One of the problems these people have is that slights come their way, and they somehow or another think they're the only people in the history of our country to have had a slight leveled at them.
Yes.
Go back and read the history of the country. Go back and read how women, how blacks, how people in the South, how people in rural America overcame huge, huge obstacles. They didn't quit and say burn it down, and that's what I fear this whole effort.
Read the lyrics to the theme song of Friends.
Yes.
As you did the other
Love
day.
Life's
David Schumer's gonna
DOA.
take it to the next.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.